Oh, what are those?
For you, my God, I'm made for you. For you, my God, I'm made for you. My soul thirsts and hungers for you, for you. My soul thirsts and hungers for you, for you, for you, my God. I'm made for you, for you, my God. I'm made for you. Nice. All right. Welcome to Made for Jesus Live. So I decided to start with my song Made for Jesus, which is still on the Catholic Music Countdown. And currently, the Catholic Music Countdown is mostly done by voting. And so if you go to breadboxmedia.com and go to the Adoration Radio tab, whatever, you can go and vote for your favorite songs. And currently, there's a number of artists that are on there. So it's a pretty cool program. Paragram is doing a good job with that. But now for our program. So kind of started with prayer since we sang. Let's start with the spoken prayer, I guess. And Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. We love you, Lord, and we praise you, and we thank you for bringing us together that we may grow closer to you. Send your Spirit down upon us, and we may be filled with your wisdom and your love and your peace. Help us to live our lives like we are made for you. I ask this in your name, Jesus. Amen. Amen. All right, so this is the second time now that I have these two guys on. Let's get them on here. Welcome.
Thanks, Brandon, for having us.
Thank you. And then with me, I'm a little upset right now.
All right, so it's Gustavo and Anthony. Anthony graduated from Fresno State with an engineering degree. Gustavo is currently working on his, correct?
Yes.
It's men a few words. Men a few words.
Yeah, we talk a lot.
Oh, yeah.
You just gotta get warmed up first.
Yeah. So this. Oh, just a little update. I have been going to different interviews, and right now, you know, I'm quite happy where I'm at in the sense of decisions I need to make. So things are moving along. So thank you for all those prayers, if they were out there.
And I'm still a student. Still doing my homework.
Sounds it's been a productive week. I actually am now a verified user on Facebook, so I get the little check mark next to my name. So you see that on like Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that for mostly celebrities, but you know, I guess I'm cool enough to be in the club. So I got verified, which means that I get to use stuff that's only for verified users. So there's like Q&As, which I don't think I really need because I don't really have enough followers that it really matters that if somebody asks me a question, then I'm not going to already answer the question, regardless of me doing a Q&A session. I think that's for people that have like millions of followers, and then they'll choose like 10 questions or something. I don't know. From the millions that are flowing in nonstop. And the other thing is Facebook Live. So I might start doing like live worship sessions or something like that. I'll figure it out. We'll see what happens. So today people were doing the I believe today was the day that people didn't speak so that they could stand up, so that they could make sure that people understand that there's others who can't speak for themselves, which are the unborn. Did you see anybody at Fresno State, Gustavo,
Nope.
tape over their mouths?
Not
No,
one
Not
person.
today. I was only in engineering. So I had back-to-back class, so I was in and out.
Well, when I did it, it was just Jackie and I. So I didn't see anybody else.
No? Not a big thing.
It's not.
I was told today was the day, but we'd already scheduled today as our show. I figured we need to talk on our show.
That would be kind of important.
It is a talk show. Could just stare.
So, yeah, I was thinking about that's the big thing with abortion is that I think a lot of people are trying to like change the law, and so they try to contact their congressman. Yeah. So they try. So like if you're in California, you're contacting Dianne Feinstein and Barbara Boxer, who have built their whole entire careers being pro-abortion, like being pro-choice. And so there's no way that they're ever going to change the position. And so, like, Feinstein wrote like a really terrible response to everybody who wrote for defunding Planned Parenthood. It was like, these videos are not real and blah, 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 everything. So, yeah. I don't think you're ever going to change the minds of Feinstein or Boxer as a Californian. So, all you can do is maybe pray for them, because I think prayer could possibly change their mind and their heart. Other than that, I really think that it should be more of like an individual thing. That we've been talking about family, right? Talking about family, and so I think like if somebody is struggling with that stuff, that the big one is being pregnant when you're not married, of course. So, like a cousin or something like that is pregnant, to find out what you can do for them or how you can be there for them, so that they don't feel like they're all alone in this. What do you guys think of that one?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, we need to be there for our family members. They're important. And you just figure about how, Pope Francis told us to take care of our families and think about family. And it's like this is where it begins. This is like the root. This is where Like, if we concentrate our efforts on our own family, the world will be a better place. If we concentrate our efforts on ourselves, and being as good as we can, and being Christ-like, then the world will be a peaceful place. So um, it's very um, impacting that stuff like this doesn't happen, and it's kind of sad that teenagers and parents and everybody who get put on with the situation kind of handle it in different ways because for some reasons they just have no idea how they're going to come through and overcome something like this. And for others, they're very supportive and they're there for them and they're there to help them out, regardless if it was a good decision or a bad decision. And that's, the true testimony of doing what Christ would want you to do in that situation. So I really commend those families that have gone through something similar to that and have taken up their cross and pulled through with the individual that was going through that struggle.
I would agree with that. I think the biggest deal is just having them have someone there to support them. I think the biggest thing that they freak out about, pregnant women in general or anybody who's starting a family, is how they're going to afford the baby, how they're going to raise it, support it. Because a lot of them can barely live off what they have themselves. And I think as long as you have someone there to support you, someone who says you can do this, we can help you out, it's a lot of help. So whether it's family, whether it's just a friend, and I know there's programs out there that will help them, but I think that's when that difficult choice comes by, that just a lot of people just think they can't afford the child, and although there's adoption and everything, they just start to freak out and they don't really weigh out their options.
I think the other interesting part is that we don't really talk about these things. And so I think part of it is like, especially Christians do it where they hide their sinfulness so that nobody will judge them and say like, oh, you're a hypocrite. So I think part of it is creating like an environment or whatever where it's okay to share your struggles, so that when your girlfriend gets pregnant or whatever stuff, or if you're struggling with a really terrible decision, that you can actually voice your concerns, voice your like what's been going on and all that kind of stuff. So like saying, I've been struggling with this and this is what happened now, and so this is what I'm thinking about. And for other Christians not to just judge them and be open to that. But I do think overall that for the most part, that Christians in your life are like that they do care about you and will be open to discussing things with you. But that we personally feel like, oh, we're going to get judged for this. And I think part of that maybe is like just the sin itself, or the devil saying, you need to keep this in the dark, and nobody's going to understand. God will not love you. Other Christians will not accept you if you tell them that you're doing this stuff, or if you are honest about what you're going through. But in my personal experience, like that was what I felt like. But then the reality was that people were really accepting, and they loved on me, and were, if they were judgmental, like I didn't really experience it. You know.
That's good.
Yeah, I think it's mostly just like that you're the scared one in the situation, and everyone else just wants to make the best of the situation. If you have someone there that's harassing you, saying anything, you just brush them off, let it go, because there's always gonna be people there that support you, and that's what you gotta hold on to. Because once you're in that situation, there's not really much you can change. I don't really see the point in telling someone, well, you should have done this. It's a little too late for that, but I think didn't Pope Francis earlier this year actually allow bishops to forgive abortions? I think some
The priest section.
priests that forgive.
I have a question about that, Brandon.
Yeah, I don't know. We talked about this last time. We talked about this on like the second show or first show.
We did.
And I think we did. I don't know. But I didn't actually know that there was sins that the priest cannot forgive you.
Yeah, because that to me that doesn't make sense. Like, how could the priest not forgive those things? When did that make? I don't know. Like, when did that just start being? Well, now you can be forgiven for that. Like, I don't understand that. Like, I thought that you're forgiven for all your sins.
Well, I think it's because there's some sins that you commit consciously. Like it's not spur of the moment. An abortion's not spur of the moment. You go, you plan it out, to make an appointment and everything. And
What about murder?
I
Same
think
thing.
murder is probably the same thing, but
So
I think
like,
there's different levels to it. The same way annulments can't necessarily just be done by any priest before. I think they had it, so you had to go to a bishop or someone to get forgiven for the abortion, because the articles did say that he allowed the priest to do it. He gave the bishops the right to give the priest the right. So I'm guessing it just goes down the chain. So not necessarily every priest could have done it beforehand. And I think now it's still based on whether or not the bishop wants to allow the priest to do it or whether he wants to handle those cases himself. Not really sure how that works. That's what it sounded like.
I wish we had more people on the show or something so I could spend time doing more research on this. But yeah, I think it's interesting that there are certain things that only a bishop could forgive. I did not know that was a thing. That you'd have to go for absolution from a bishop. So
Yeah.
it was very interesting. Yes, I think like abortion is one of those grave sins since you're doing it intentionally and it's an innocent life. Like it's always an innocent life, where as any other type of murder, you don't know what the circumstances are. That's in specific circumstances, it could have just been some guy like broke into your house and you shot him, and so that's murder.
Yeah, I think that they also handle it differently. It was before you converted. I'm not sure how they do that, but I'm sure there's a difference between whether you do it as Catholic or you did it before you converted to Catholicism or whatever your situation is. I think it is judged differently because as a Catholic you are mindful of the sin, and before you didn't necessarily consider it a sin, that kind of puts you in a different situation overall.
Yeah.
Kind of like, well, I mean, obviously you never receive the actual sacrament of marriage if you get married in a different religion or outside the church, but it's kind of the same thing where you get married somewhere else, you do some other stuff, you can still come back to the Catholic, not back, but you can go to the Catholic Church and become Catholic and just get remarried, this time actually receiving your sacrament or become a priest or whatever it is.
Yeah, but it'd be really interesting to see, how many people out there really did the, the silence for the day. So, I mean, if you guys do watch this, if you could comment to Brandon and see, like, who did it for that day or today. It'd be interesting to see what our numbers would be like. But
I think it's a good statement. It gets people asking questions, and you give them the card, right?
yeah,
Or I think people carry like whiteboards around their neck. Is that what you guys do?
no, we just had the red tape, and then it just said life on it, and a lot of people were like, "What are you doing?" You know, and so I just give them that little slip, and they would understand. Even my teachers, like my professors in school, actually Professor AJ was like, "What are you doing?" Like, so I was like, "Here you go." And he just, "Oh, okay," you know. And so then I was just quiet the whole day. But then it was interesting. The next day, I had students that like in a sense disagreed with me, and so we had this huge debate the next day because obviously I couldn't talk that day. So then the next day, this one individual came up to me and was just like, you know, I'm pro-choice, and I feel that a woman should have a decision, you know, um, with what goes on with her body and all that stuff. And I was like, well, that's just the thing. It's not just her body anymore. There's another living being in there, and who's speaking for that person, you know? So it kind of made him think a little bit, but we went into more intense stuff, but I don't know if I want to mention it at all. So, yeah.
Yeah. But the freedom of choice thing is kind of interesting argument all the time because we do not have pure freedom of choice. You know, you can choose to, you know, murder Gustavo right now. You can choose to do that, but
And I work out
that is against the law. You know, so
Well, yeah, like,
you're free to choose to do whatever you want.
I'm not sure if we're actually going to get into that, but uh, I always compare it to like drunk driving. Like you did something that you knew what could lead to something else. If you drink and you go driving, and you kill people, obviously it's your fault because you knew that drinking and driving could have led to that. And it's exactly the same situation. You knew what you were doing could have led to you becoming pregnant. So you have to live with the consequences either way.
Yeah. That would be the argument for you have already made the choice earlier of whether or not you wanted to have a baby.
That's true.
And it's easy for us to say right now because, I mean, we're not in that situation. So, I mean, when people are in that moment and in that time of like realization, they may think that we may think the same differently, you know. And as sad as it may sound, you know, that's the reality. So, people who did stick with it and their beliefs and what the religion is teaching them, I give them props.
Yeah. I think it's the. I think it was it's so easy to make the wrong decision since it's legal because of the reasons I said. At least that was how I felt. Okay, because I have a daughter who is in fourth grade now, and I've never been married. So being part of the church and everything, and you know, I was doing things that I knew I shouldn't have been doing, but it was in, and so now for the pregnancy it was going to come out into the light, and so it was something that you know made me actually think about it a little bit, you know, because it's such a difficult thing to be like. And so part of it is, you know, first, are we really going to keep the baby? Second, am I going to stay in the church? Like, am I going to allow myself to continue to go to church and be open to the ridicule that could happen of people being like, "Oh, he's a hypocrite" or whatever. And so there's like multiple thoughts. There's tons of thoughts, honestly. There's tons of thoughts that make it like super difficult because you know it's right, but it's so scary to move forward because because I had this image of being like, I've got stuff together. I'm one of the good guys. So that was that.
Well, I think it kind of ties into what you said earlier, where you don't want anyone to find out. And like you said, it's real easy. And actually, there's a few states, and I think California is actually one of them, where a minor can get an abortion without parental consent.
California, Connecticut, Hawaii.
Hawaii, yeah.
Sad.
So that's kind of a scary thing where a minor could go behind the parents' backs, make an appointment, get the abortion, and not even the parents know.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's easy to make the decision because you're afraid for anybody to find out. But then, like, to live with that decision for the rest of your life without telling anybody is nearly impossible. And if you do it, that's really extremely hard to live with that for the rest of your life, that without confiding in someone that this is what happened and this is what you did. Because even with just losing a baby naturally is something that most women that I know struggle with deeply. Like there's tons of support groups and stuff for them. So yeah, I know that there's always those people out there that like, where these three guys know about choices women have to make.
Take some good time.
But as a
Like, I think there's people out there too who want to get somewhat of a guy's point of view.
yeah, but I was very much a part of the decision. Like I could have swayed her either way, probably.
Well, I think that's
in a way.
one of the scary things too, that the girl can make the choice, even if the father wants to keep the child. Ultimately, it's up to her. And I know your situation. You said you could swear either way. You're in a situation.
Cocky about it.
Yeah, I mean, you can. Yeah, if you motivate the person to. It's more of a group decision, whereas to be in that situation, the person wants to get the abortion, and you have no say.
Yeah, I know guys who have had that happen, where they have no say in the situation. So yeah, I mean the crazy thing is when Nevaeh was born, they actually didn't. The nurses and everything were actually extremely like weird with me being there after she was born because the mother has like all the rights and the dad, they want to essentially only if the mom is okay with him being there can he be there, which makes a lot of sense, but at the same time it feels like really weird. It felt very weird that they were like really worried about me, even though she was like, no, it's okay, like he's cool, he's good. All right, so we'll get into that more. My nephews are here. It sounds like I don't know if you guys could hear that.
Heard a little bit.
So in the show, even though we didn't really go anywhere with anything, that's how this works. We never accomplish anything. It's not like we get to make the decisions for you or anybody else. we don't even have like really good authority to say what's right and wrong, you know? So go ahead with my song again. Why not? Okay, yeah. You for you, my God. I'm made for you. You for you, my God. I'm made for you. Soul thirsts and hungers for you, for you. Soul thirsts and hungers for you, for you. For you, my God. I'm made for you. You for you, my God. I'm made for you.